Hey guys, Joe Pye here, Advanced Innovations, Austin, Texas. Welcome back to my shop. Today is almost a very special day for me. It is the 9th year anniversary of the first machining video I ever posted on YouTube. And thank you to everyone that has subscribed and made this channel as successful as it is. And if you haven't subscribed, take a minute, boom, hit that button. It doesn't cost anything. Have at it. You'll feel better. You'll sleep better. You'll be better looking when you wake up in the morning. I promise. Anyway, my first video was inspired by threading that I've seen online, and I figured why not revisit that topic for an anniversary video, and that's exactly what this is. Sorry I've been absent for a while. Production around here has been up, and I've been restoring a house out of town, so it takes time, right? First thing I want to say is anybody that threads on an engine lathe, anybody that hasn't threaded on an engine lathe, it can be intimidating to start. Absolutely, like anything new in a machine shop, all the unknowns are just going to go, whatever. So start with something easy to cut, wood, plastic, whatever. Don't worry about snapping the tool because the material will give up long before the tool will. And if you haven't watched that first video I posted on inverted tooling threading facing out, or threading out, moving away from the headstock, you don't have to be a ninja and have superpowers and lightning fast cat-like reflexes and reaction times to not crash your machine or ruin your part. I will post that link in the video description below, and if you haven't watched it, watch it because it's a game changer. Today's video is going to assume that your machine is set correctly, that your tool is set so that the V of your tool, Imperial 60-degree tool, sorry, I'm not going to cover anything metric because I break out in a rash. Not really, but anyway, we're going to assume that your compound is set correctly. And I'm going to give you a quick little visual on that because people still go, oh, I got it set at 30. What happened? I have this stair step on one side, the other side looks beautiful. Well, obviously something's wrong, right? So we're going to take a look at that. And then I'm going to show you, just emphasize how the flat on the tip of the tool, in conjunction with all you guys that say, oh, well, how deep is that cut? You know, what is the depth of that thread? Gotta say, it's like one slap to the side of the head. Don't do that. The whole depth of thread thing, that's only critical if you have an undercut or a thread that's going to encounter an internal feature and you don't want it breaking through. And sometimes you got an inspector that's going to put that thread on a comparator and go, hey, you're 2/1000ths undersized on the minor diameter of an external thread. Maybe. Well, I'm going to show you how to try to avoid that. So let's get over to the machine, get over to the bench. Break out the tools, break out the graphics, break out the little wooden models and say, oh, that's why. All right, let's do it. Okay, now I've covered this before, so I'm going to make this quick and dirty. Let's assume this is a 60-degree threading tool. Center line of the tool. Center line of the threading tool must be perpendicular to the axis of the part you are working on in order for that to be successful and symmetrical. If it is not, you can see that one side is going to be greater than the other side and things are not going to end up well. Simple, very simple. Know your tooling. If you have to indicate the outside of the threading tool or indicate the holder before you put your insert tool holder in, so be it. I always indicate the face of my block, and I know that I have a specific tool holder that I've prepared the inside surface true to the world. And when I press my insert tool holder into that holder, everything ends up well. This is the tool holder that I'm using. For anyone asking, this is an NSL123B Kennametal tool holder. Looking at the face of this tool, the insert is on the left-hand side, so this is a left-hand tool holder. That's the easiest way to look at it. Look at it from the face, whatever side the insert's on, that's the hand that the insert holder is. So this is a left hand. Good for inverted tooling. When you invert your tool, cutting edge is going to be way low. So you might want to make one of these little guys to adjust the height of the tool when it's inverted. I also have a video on that. I will also post this link in the video description. Go check that one out. All right, compound itself. Same little stupid wooden model. Is this compound set correctly? No, it is not. This is going to give you a horrible finish on your thread if you advance the compound with it set outside. You can see this angle right here has got to be congruent or below the 60-degree profile of the threading tool itself. All right, so I don't care what it says down here, 30, 60, 90. If this angle right here is not within 30 degrees of perpendicular you're going to have a catastrophic failure on your thread, and it's not going to end well. This machine is very rigid, and I'm lucky enough that I can plunge cut everything I do, so I just leave this set at 45 for larger chamfers. All right, let's reposition the camera, take a look at how do I know what the depth of this cut is when I'm doing a thread. Let's change it. If you are fortunate enough to have additional material on your part and you are concerned with how deep the tool is cutting, you can see that this tool I have in here right now is for very fine threads. I use this for 72 pitch threads, or 40 to 72. My machine won't go any higher than 72, so that's the insert that I use. I'm going to run the machine in reverse, which is the way I thread. I plunge in and thread out. And I'm going to turn a small diameter on the face of that. Now, paying attention to the number on your cross slide versus the diameter that you just cut, you'll know exactly how deep that cut is compared to the OD of the thread. Not always a good idea to go on the depth of the thread, and I will show you that here in a second. But now I know exactly how deep that thread is. If this is the ideal situation for the thread that you're looking to cut, leave your cross slide set right where it is. Assuming that the compound is set to 0 when you do this, back the tool out with the compound if the compound is correctly set. And as you're threading, advance the compound back to the 0 position, and this achieves two things. This gives you the depth of the cut that you were looking for. Not always a good idea, but if that's how you do it, God bless you. And it keeps the original start point of the thread in the same location. I've seen a lot of people get their thread to the point where, okay, I'm going to make contact, I'm going to keep advancing the tool with the compound, and by the time you're done advancing the tool, you've moved off from the location that you targeted. So start on location, scratch it, go to your depth, get out, and then start threading a little bit at a time. And when you're done with your advancement of your tool is back to the starting position. You've still got your position from the face of the material to the required dimension on the print, and you're at depth. If you miss your pitch diameter, advance the cross slide to clean it up. Okay, simple. Let's take a look at the tip of the flat, the tip of the tool, and why that is so important. Absolutely critical. Let's take a look. Okay, let's start with who knows what a pitch diameter is. Oh, I know what a pitch diameter is. It's the value in the book that you use to figure out the size of the thread. Well, that's true. But a pitch diameter is the distance across the cut. When the distance across the cut at a specific depth or a specific profile is the same distance as the distance across the remaining material, that is your pitch diameter. So the thickness of the thread itself and the width of the cut itself, when they are the same, that is how a pitch diameter is calculated. Now we know. Now you're smarter. Let's take a look at this thread profile right here with the ideal flat. And I've always said that the ideal flat, and I shoot for this every time I make a tool, 1/8 the pitch. Okay, 1/8 the pitch. Let's say 1/4 the pitch on a 1/4 thread is 0.05 over 8. That equals the ideal flat right there. You take the pitch, whatever the pitch value is, and I'm not saying 20 divided by 8, I'm saying 1 inch divided by 20, which is 50 thou divided by 8. Boom, there you go. Ideal size of the tool, right there. This particular drawing is this thread, this drawing was created with this little template, assuming that that's the perfect tool. Perfect tool. Let's say, all right, well, I'm going to hand grind this tool, and I'm going to make a bigger flat because I like a bigger flat. Watch what happens to the pitch diameter when you go to the same depth. If you are doing a thread by depth of cut, watch what happens at this point. Okay, well, there's the ideal pitch diameter right there. As you go deeper, Boom. Gone. That pitch diameter, you just blew that part because the tip flat on your tool was too wide and you used your little calculation and you went to the depth, but you ruined your part. Big flat, no bueno. Let's use a little flat. Is a little flat better? Yes, it is. So as far as this 1/8 pitch thing is concerned, I always stay under the 1/8. That's the maximum flat you want on the tip of that tool. So you can see it using your depth of cut. If you have to do that, not a fan, guys. When you reach that depth of cut, you can see that you still have some to go. Did you ruin the part? No, you're still safe. You can advance the cross slide to make up that difference. It's probably going to be a couple thou, but now you can see the depth is deeper than normal, but your pitch diameter, which is what's important, is there. Why is the root of the thread or the crest of the thread important? Well, for engagement in the mating part. Everything is calculated to have line contact or greater so that the threads go together. Figure out what a pitch diameter is, figure out what wires are. You know you only need one wire to cut a successful thread. I will put that in the video description as well. Check that out, it's great. 3 wires per set, everybody drops them in the chip bin. You know what? Leave 2 of them in the box. Use 1 at a time. I dare you to drop that. Well, to everyone that has subscribed since June 9th of 2016, from the bottom of my heart, I thank you for tuning in and thank you for allowing me to spend some of my day with you, and I thank you for spending some of your day with me as well. So wherever you are in the world, I hope you're well, happy, and safe. All of the above. I'm Joe Pye at Advanced Innovations in Austin, Texas, calling it a day. I'm out.